crowns. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. Let's go. I'm just telling you to fight for your dreams, but it's not what it seems. Man, it's hard to be seen when everybody wants to be king. Yeah, they all want to ring. Yeah, we all want to be free.
What is going on, folks, and welcome to Lions Nation United Live. We're going to talk all things Detroit Lions, and I got my good friend here, Kurt Steele, beat writer, yard barker for the Detroit Lions. How's it going on, man?
What's going on, man? And, you know, saying shout out to my guys over at Sideline Report right over there as well. So, you know, doing my thing.
Doing his thing. Make sure you go check him out. He's writing some sick articles. He just told me about one that's about to drop, and I 100% agree with him because I feel like I am Curtis Steele, except for I'm different age and I'm a different color because we think exactly alike regarding the Detroit Lions. We agree on like 99.9% of everything.
We do.
So
we do.
It's really, really good. It's hard when you try to disagree because we just are the same, man. Like we agree on it.
We do agree on a lot of things. Yeah, we do.
So here, man, we're just going to talk about the latest, the Lions. I think Roar Lions UK will jump on here in a little bit. He was telling me about that. But we're going to say what's up to everybody in the building. We got Raw Podcast, Michael Braveheart, Bo Griffin, Alone Wolf 21, Mofo, Jimbo, Chrome, all in the building. I think I scheduled this for a different day, and it screwed up because I screw it up all the time. So forgive me on that, and we keep moving forward. We got some information today, Kurt, that the Lions logo, the new helmet's going to be dropped tomorrow.
Yeah.
And see the alternate helmet. Are you excited?
Yeah, man. I did this new little, what do you call it? Like I said, quick hang with Kurt, minute hang with Kurt. I did a new video this morning. That's the first thing I mentioned. Well, the first thing I mentioned was about the Lions was the new helmet dropping, man. I can't wait. We've been waiting for this since last year when they announced that the teams could have alternate helmets again. It was some safety rule that they had a few years ago that teams could have one helmet. And that's what got rid of a lot of throwbacks and alternate helmet colors for teams. And I'm glad to have it back.
So am I. We got Tina Facebook. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. We appreciate it. And like button on YouTube. I'm super excited to see what the new helmet looks like. Now, from what I was seeing, I'm a guy that takes all Easter eggs, because that's what a lot of people do now. And when I seen the tweet, I look at the tweet, and to me, I have a feeling it's going to be some old school logo back like in the 70s or 60s, the old school Lions logo. That's kind of what I'm taking from it. I'm going to pull it up so everybody can see it now. And I'm really, really, really excited to see that for sure and see what type of logo it is, because I like the old school logo. I've been saying it for some time that's what they should do. And this is the tweet from the Detroit Lions YouTube channel. It's got an old vehicle, looks like an old Mustang. It says alternate helmet historical tomorrow. Could this be that very old Lions logo, the very old one?
Could be, or it could be blue and chrome.
Ooh, blue and chrome. So having a chrome helmet with blue Lions logo, or or a chrome Lions logo and a blue helmet?
I think it's maybe either or. It may be a blue helmet because it's something. It has to be something that's totally different from what the actual helmet is right now. So we see most teams are doing something that's totally different from their regular helmet. So either a different color, or their third color in their color scheme. So you're looking at like the Texans, they had a red helmet, and I think Philly had a black helmet, and then they have the white tiger helmet of the Bengals. So I think it's going to be something that's like a different color. So I'm thinking blue is going to be in there somewhere. So it's going to be blue and chrome. So that's my guess. I don't know if it's going to be a chrome with the blue face mask or a blue with a chrome face mask. It's going to be one of those two.
I'd love to see a chrome lion and a blue helmet, something that we don't see all the time because we're used to the blue lion. How about we
Yeah.
switch it up completely
I think
and
so,
go
too.
with that? And I don't know. Maybe
That'd-
it's going to be exciting because I think they're going to do. I think they're going. It's going to be that, or I think it's going to be that old Lions logo.
Okay. Yeah.
So
It
we'll
could be.
see. We'll see going forward, but I'm really excited for that. Let me see the old Lions logo. I want to share it so then people can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about here.
You talking
And
about, you talking about this one?
yeah, that logo right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, I like that one. That's one of my favorite logos. Yeah.
for sure. Let me see alternate helmet.
Yeah.
Really
I
cool.
was keen of the Barry Sanders logo, the logo during that era, the lion in that area. I'm glad when they changed it to put more definition in it, so you know make it a little bit more angry, and you know now we got to start playing angry, you know, to match the lion with the
Yes.
out and everything like that. We're on our way. We're starting to go that way now, though.
100%, 100%. There's some good ideas here. I could share the screen here and so other people can see it what I'm doing because I think that's important. It's like we can talk about it, but you can easily
Yeah.
just show it. And let me get this one here. I think I think there's a lot of good ones that they could use, like the white, blue.
Okay.
That would be
Yeah,
fire.
that would be
That
kind of sick.
Yeah, that would be absolute fire right there. I don't see the chrome lions. I've seen that before. Maybe something like this would be absolute fire.
Yeah, I like the blue. I always like the blue face mask. I missed the food. I missed the blue face mask, and when they went to the black face mask, when they went to the black, I was like, okay, I get it, but I do miss the blue face mask. I think hopefully when they do a total rebrand next year, I believe is when it's going to happen. I think I hope they bring back the blue face mask because, yeah,
That would be fire. That would be absolutely fire for sure. Blue face max and having. I wish they would do the alternate uniform at the same time, but that's not going to happen. That will
now it's
happen
going to
next
happen
year.
next year. Yeah, with a total. I think it's going to be announced. Like I think everything is going to happen like during that draft weekend where you know everything's going to be like right there. Major announcements are going to happen during the draft, and they're going to have the uniform reveal and everything like that during that weekend. This makes sense when all eyes are going to be on Detroit.
All eyes on Detroit, man. Just like Tupac, all eyes on me, but it's going to be all eyes on Detroit for sure. Let's get into some rumors I've been seeing all week, some trade rumors, and I'm sure you're going to agree with me 100%. Yesterday came out that the Lions should aggressively pursue Stephon Diggs, the wide receiver from the Buffalo Bills. And I explained in my video it's not happening at all. And it just doesn't make sense because he's a guy that does not or ring to me Dan Campbell type of guy. He's a diva. What was your thoughts on trading for
I'm good.
Diggs?
I'm good. And shout out to my guy over there at Sideline. Brad Berryman wrote an article. It's like the Lions should never even consider going after Stephon Diggs. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, 100%.
I just don't see that. I don't see him mixing into Detroit. You just look at who he is. Now, he's a good player.
Yeah, great player.
He's a great, you know, but his mentality that ain't something that would jive with Detroit. That ain't something that would jive with Dan Campbell. Nah, man,
No, absolutely not.
It's a particular player that Detroit looks for, and he's not it.
He's the opposite of that.
Was that he says I'm him, and Dan Campbell be like, no, you're not.
No, you're not him.
You could be him.
His cap hit is $24 million this year with a $22 million bonus that they have to give out. It's not happening, folks. As soon as that article came out, I got hit up and I'm like, okay, I got to debunk this really quick. It's not going to happen here. Another player that was potentially could be a Lions trade destination was Corey Davis, the wide receiver from the New York Jets. What's your thoughts on that one?
I actually like a wide receiver room. I'm not seeing it. I know that PFF wasn't kind to our pass catchers or anything like that. Yes. Our receiving room, with their ratings, but ratings is ratings. And most time those guys are sitting behind the desk. Those are analytic guys. They're not
Yeah.
football guys, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So they're not really, they're collecting data off of a game. So they're probably using AI to do that stuff. I'm just joking. No, but I mean, no disrespect to what they do, because they do that stuff. They're doing their job, and that's what they do, is the analytics, but it's not everything. And for me, I like the fact that you have a guy like a Marvin Jones, a veteran. We've seen what Khalif Raymond could do. We know what the Sun God is, and we know the potential of J-Mo, and we know the comfortability of Jared Goff with his Whoopi Reynolds. So I'm not seeing a reason why we need to go out and grab somebody. I just don't see it.
I agree with you. I seen the PFF ranking that we were the 10th worst in the NFL for them for offensive skill positions. I think it's baloney. Look, I get it about, we got to do everything by analytics, but at some point, analytics is not everything. If you look at the Detroit Lions, they use a lot of running backs in the passing game. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be a big part of that. Brock Wright does not get the love that he should. Sam Laporta. I mean, you look at all the weapons there. I completely disagree that it's the 10th worst in the NFL. I have it from about 10 to 13. That's kind of what I see when I look at the skill positions here for the Lions. I agree with you. No need really to jump in to get a wide receiver. The only way I would do it is if we lost a guy like a Marvin Jones Jr. to injury or something like that. Then I can see the Lions making a trade for a player. But right now, you got a pretty good 1 through 6, and you want to see what Antoine Green can do and develop into a wide receiver. And there's a lot of quality wide receiver that's gaining for that final spot. You still got players that can get it done. So, and Khalif Raymond's the most underrated player on this football team. Gets no loves, disrespected because of his size. And I think the Lions are fine at the wide receiver position and be good to go there. Now, came out today per Vegas, the Lions are the biggest favorite to get Chase Young. They made a picture on there, Chase Young in a Lions uniform. What is your thoughts on the Lions potentially trading for Chase Young?
How many pass rushers do we need?
500,000.
I'm looking at our rotation of our defensive ends, and I look at his greatest statistical year was his rookie year. He had 7.5 sacks. Well, hell, Charles Harris had a season with 7.5 sacks. I think it was maybe in the same year. And then we have Romeo Okwara, who's had 10.5 sacks. So you look at, we have a bunch of guys that have had better years statistically. Even last year in 7 games, James Houston had more sacks.
That's insane, by the way.
Yeah. So I'm not diminishing Chase Young's talent. I think he's a talented young man, but I don't know if we need to, because he's going to come with the needs, right? He's going to need a new deal. You know what I'm saying? He wants to be probably one of the highest paid, and without merit for my sake. I don't think he has enough merit to say he wants to grab one of the highest contracts as a defensive end in the league. I don't think he's proven that worthy just yet. So it's a hard pass for me, but it is what it is.
For me, if they wanted to get it, it'd have to be a later draft pick and a Julian Okwara. I seen someone did a Julian Okwara in a 3rd round pick. I would consider it right there, because then you're getting rid of a guy who, to me, I don't think is going to make the roster. I think you kind of agree with that for taking a chance on a guy, but I'm not going to give up premium draft picks for Chase Young because all the reasons you just said there. First off, he does have an injury history. And so do you want to give up a 1st or a 2nd round pick for a guy that hasn't been available? And like you said, that's had 7.5 sacks with Charles Harris. Romeo Okwara could do the same type of thing there. So for a lower draft pick and a guy who's not going to be on the 53, fine. That's something I'd risk. Other than that, I'm not going to take a risk on anything of that nature for the Lions there. What do you think about, again, DeAndre Hopkins? He's making his rounds. Do you think the Lions should take a look at him? I don't right now. But again, to me, it's all about injuries. If someone went down, okay. But right now, he's looking to get $15 million a year. I just don't think the Lions are going to do that.
I think the Lions have that draft cap. The cap space. I think they're going to start re-signing players. And if you're starting to re-sign players and, keeping some of your homegrown talent in-house, you have to look at some of the guys' actually contracts are coming up here shortly. Look at where you have Penei Sewell, he's looking. I know he's a first round. They can do a fifth round option with him. But you have guys like Amara St. Brown. Those guys, their contracts coming up. Jonah Jackson. And it's not going to leave a lot of room for a lot of big splash signings in free agency. Now, if it's something they can work it out. Now, when people say the salary cap is an illusion because teams, can push, cap down the line and signing bonuses and things of that nature. But we just got out of dead cap hell. Why go back to it? So I say right now, I don't think it's a move that Brad Holmes will make. But if injury dictates, maybe so.
You're talking about signing players, and I don't think people realize this, but there's one player that we may have to re-sign to a big deal earlier than you'd expect, and that's James Houston, because after this year, he doesn't have a contract with the Lions because we cut him last year. So if he comes out and gets 10 plus sacks or whatever he's going to get, he's going to demand a big deal. And the Lions have to pay it, because what are you going to do? Let this guy go? Yeah. I just don't think that that would be a smart move with as young as he is. So that is something the Lions got to monitor. And like you said, Penei Sewell at some point is going to be coming up. Amon-Ra first down. The Sun God's going to be coming up. There's a lot of players like Jonah Jackson. Eventually, they're going to start coming up, and the Lions will have to pay your own guys. That's the philosophy of drafting your replacements. I seen an article is talking about 5 players. It's a make or break year. A couple of these guys like Romeo Okwara, Charles Harris, I agree. It's a make or break year. If they don't produce at a high level, I think this is the last year in Detroit, because the Lions will just go ahead and draft their replacements. What's your thoughts on those guys there?
You think about that. Yeah. The younger players, there's always somebody coming to take your job. NFL stands for not for long. Yeah. And Romeo Okwara, Charles Harris, those guys. And one guy we didn't really mention as far as contract on the defense is coming up soon. Aleem McNeil.
Yeah. He's going to demand. He reminds me of Sammy Lee Hill.
Yeah, he's going to have one of those things. But if you look at it at James Houston, you look at it where he did make the initial 53 last year, spent most of the year on the practice squad, didn't sign a 2-year deal till later in the season. His bill's going to come due sooner rather than later, and you are correct with that, and I agree with that assessment. And if he has this, even with the same sack numbers as last season, 8, that still is going to put a pretty big price tag, because that's a better year than most of the defensive ends in the league at 8 sacks. You're getting 8, 9, 10 sacks. He hits double digits.
You have to pay 2 years in the league.
Yep.
2 years in the league. So I mean, that's that. How many teams is going to be like,
the guy
like to be drooling.
The guy had more sacks than he played games last year.
I know, it's insane.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, 8 sacks in 7 games. I'm like, come on, man. That guy's good.
Yeah, so teams will be licking their chops if he does anything like that this year. If he gets double digits, I don't care if he's a restricted free agent, whatever. Teams are going to be going for him. That's what they're always looking for, is pass rushers, especially young ones. For sure, the Lions got to do that. Now, in CBS Sports HQ, Pete Prisco gave the Detroit Lions only 2 players in the top 100, and that was Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell. I disagree with that statement. I think those guys should be in there, but I also think that a player such as C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Jared Goff probably should be in there as well.
Absolutely.
And what's your thoughts on the top 100? Is there other players that you think that should have been involved?
I think with those 2 guys being in there, I think Jared Goff should have been sniffing. I mean, the guy was, and for all the slander he gets in Detroit, I just think that the guy went out last year and was a top 10 quarterback. It was, the Detroit Lions had a top 5 offense, a top 5 passing offense. Say what you will about Jared Goff, the guy was balling last year, and I think he should have been in there, even if it was at 100 or 99 or whatever it is.
He'd be in there.
I mean, give him his respect. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson, man, how can you be a top 3 in one list as far as defensive players at his position, and then he's not on the top 100 list? It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make it make sense. It don't. That math ain't mathing. So I mean, I just don't get it.
Yeah, 100%. I concur right there.
The guy was one of the top, if not the top free agent safety in the league that coming out of last year. Come out of last season. So I don't get what's the deal with that. But you know, everybody's got to do a job. So
Yeah, I get it. Everyone's got to do a job, but I agree with you. They should have been in there. And then considerations, you got an Aiden Hutchinson,
yeah,
in consideration. I'm not saying he should be.
yeah,
And then, these are players that's getting close to that realm. And I think they'll make that jump this year because I think Aiden Hutchinson's going to take a significant jump
I
with
believe
all
so
more
too.
of the attention on the defensive line that they did and the
Hmm.
additions in the secondary. I think Aiden Hutchinson's going to feast. What do you think
Yeah.
his jump is going to be this year?
Um, I'm gonna say from 9.5 to about, I would say, 13 to 15 sacks this year. A lot more quarterback pressures, quarterback hits, just because of the fact that it's going to be harder to double team him. So he's gonna be causing the havoc because once you start double teaming them, the other guys are going to start to feast. So you're going to have to do something to try to alleviate that, and you can't double team everyone all the time. And once those design double teams, like, well, man, Luke G say over there, Luke G, well, they just had design double teams. Well, you can't do that all the time, especially when you have better players on a defensive line. You're going to have Aline McNeil coming in. You're going to have the NASCAR packs where you got Pascal and Kaminsky, and then Romeo, and then Charles Harris, and then James Houston. I mean, you got to pick somebody, got to block somebody. I mean, and somebody's going to get through a lot quicker this year.
100%. I think this defense is going to take a significant jump, and it's just because there's so many other pieces, and you got to block everybody out there, and it's really good to see. Now, Derek Barnes has been doing really good in OTAs and minicamp, and after Jack Campbell was drafted by the Lions, him and Alex Anzalone hit up Shep and asked, they're happy that they drafted him, but wanted to know their position on the team. Has the Lions drafting Jack Campbell really pushed Derek Barnes to take his game up a notch? Because I think it has. I think it really has done a good job. And to me, that's the importance of competition is if you don't have somebody that's trying to attempt to take your job, sometimes players may get a little complacent. Now you have Jack Campbell in there, and they're like, you know what? I got to really put my game out there. What is your thoughts on that? The competition at each position and getting the best out of players?
Yeah, I think really the pressure, to be honest with you, where pressure was on Derek Barnes coming out of last year with the Rodrigo play with
Hmm.
Malcolm Rodriguez. He put a lot of fire on a guy like Derek Barnes, where okay, and you're playing more sub packages, you're going to play two linebackers. So who is it going to be? Is it going to be Rodriguez, or is it going to be Derek Barnes? Derek Barnes set up this offseason. It's going to be me. Well, all of a sudden you got Jack Campbell. Well, how does that go? It's going to be one of those things where you're going to have to up your play because NFL, like I just said, not for long. If you don't do what you need to do, someone will take your job. And Derek Barnes is in that point where he's like, hell no. And that's how it should be. You shouldn't
Yep.
let a rookie, no matter where he's drafted, come and take your job. I mean, if you look at last year in the Eagles, you had one of the top linebackers in the draft was sitting on the bench last year in the Kobe
Hmm.
Dean. So, I mean, he had his health issues, but still, you got a guy like Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell has a lot of potential, but he has a lot of flaws in his game. And if Derek Barnes takes advantage of that, good for Derek Barnes.
And that's what we talked about before the draft, and I've been saying it, and a lot of people was upset. Like drafting a quarterback, it's not generally just take Jared Goff's job, but competition does breed excellence, and you're seeing it with Derek Barnes right there.
Mm-hmm.
His game went up a level after the draft happened. There's no problem with drafting for competition, no problem making a room, whether it be the quarterback room or a linebacker room in this case, to be better and for them to fight as hard as they can because it breeds excellence and it gets the best out of all the players. And with that draft pick of getting Jack Campbell, Derek Barnes is now took it up a notch. And I love to see it. I personally don't care who's out there on defense. I want the best 11 out there, regardless of name. That's how we win in the NFL. You have the best players out there. So, kudos to Derek Barnes for upping his game. Hopefully he can come out there and compete and get some playing time. If not, we got Jack Campbell or Malcolm Rodriguez, whoever's out there at that time. And the Lions are doing good. Folks, if you want your question answered, do hashtag Lions, hashtag Kurt Steele, hashtag Man of Steel, hashtag Flash Bombed at the office. Whatever you want to do, just let us know in the comments below. So what are you looking forward most? Yeah, boss up. Use the thing in there. What is one training camp battle you're really excited to see in training camp? You're not going to be able to be there, but you'll be able to hear the stories, and there's going to be videos, obviously. What is something that you're really looking forward to?
Wow. I think I could self-promote right now, but I won't do that. Well, if you want to, I got an article out there right now on Yard Barker, but I want to do one of the ones I picked for the offense. And it's got to be the right guard position. That is going to be one of the biggest battles in camp because we know the presumptive starter is going to be Big V, but you did bring in a guy like a Graham Glasgow to fight for a position on the offensive line. Plus, he can play guard and center. So you look at him, we know Big V can play guard and tackle, but it's one of those things where I'm like, who is going to win that position for that starting right guard? I hope it's Big V because I think that he's a nastier run blocker than Graham Glasgow. But Graham Glasgow's got something to prove as well, coming off those injuries. What they had to say about his poor performances out there in Denver after the ankle injury. So, he's got something to prove coming back to Detroit. He came back to Detroit to play with his friends, but he also came back to Detroit to seek winning a starting position on this offensive line. So that's the right guard position on the offensive side of the ball. I'm loving that competition, but because you cannot glean anything from the line battles in mini camp or OTAs because there's no contact. So there's not really a battle to have because you can't put the pads on.
I'm really looking forward to the secondary battle, and I'm just saying secondary because there's a lot of mixture of players here. Really excited to see what's going to happen with Will Harris. There's a specific undrafted free agent rookie, and you and I agree on this. I think he's going to beat him, and he is not going to make the team being Will Harris. Drafted player Will. And this secondary is going to be really good from top to bottom. I think it's going to be one of the best units in the NFL. The safety position, Tracy Walker, Brian Branch, Kerby Joseph, CJ Gardner-Johnson. My God, those are that's ridiculous. Then you look at the cornerback, you could put CJ Gardner-Johnson there, Jerry Jacobs, Cameron Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley. I am really excited to see that up close and personal. And will the undrafted guy beat Will Harris?
Look at that. I think he can. I think the one thing that made the way in for Will Harris may be special teams if he can produce on special teams. But Starling Thomas, the fifth, is an absolute stud. He's been you look at Dan Campbell's been gushing about him, saying how he popped on tape, called him one of the most improved. He's leaning on guys like Cam Sutton to up his game. And the guy runs a 4.37. The kid is absolutely blazing fast. And what people don't really, if you look at his college tape, his senior season at UAB, he had 15 pass breakups. 15. That's a ridiculous amount of pass. But he didn't have a lot of interceptions. His interceptions numbers weren't great, but he always found a neck to be around the ball and to break it up. So I'm looking at him. He had that nice interception in camp of Sutfeld. He's a guy who's making a name for himself, and he may join Jerry Jacobs as another undrafted free agent to make the Lions secondary.
I'm real excited to see that. It's going to be really fun. We got Paul Schultz here says hashtag Lions. How many touchdowns and yards for Gibbs? We'll do all-purpose yards because I don't really consider him a running back. He's just more of an offensive weapon here. I'd say 1,200 yards with maybe 6 touchdowns. What do you think about for Jahmyr Gibbs?
I was looking at around 14 and I give him a little bit of bump because of the first 6 games we won't have Jameson Williams. But I hope that changes. The league is just doing I don't know, something's in the tea leaves right now. And I hate to get off topic, but you see this big training that the NFL came out with today with all these placards and all the gambling and the reiterating the policy. Some's in the tea leaves. I think that they may be looking at down the line where it may be either a rescission or being rescinded, or at least being adjusted. Because if it's so big of a problem that they have to do a whole training around the whole league, something's amiss on the policy being handed out correctly, or everything being known in the policy. But I give him 1,400 yards because of the fact that I gave him a 200-yard bump just in case Jameson Williams is not there. Then if he is there, then I would say 1,200. Maybe you look at maybe 800 on the ground, 400 in the air, and I would say closer to 9 to 10 touchdowns.
Ooh, yeah, I real excited to see what he does. I think he's going to do so good this year, and it's going to help the Lions offense out. Hashtag F them all. It's easy to be average. Can this team get better every year because everyone else is trying to be facts? Yeah, this is going to be better this year. I agree. It's going in an upward trajectory. They're going to be good this year. Admin Washington, what up, Doe? Boss up and flagrantly foul like button. It's free. Hashtag brand new Detroit Lions. Make sure you hit that like button just like he said, or a red flag will be thrown. Hashtag FGB from Devin Davis. Any news on Chase Young trade? Absolutely none. We don't know even when the compensation would be or if he's on the trade block. So nothing as of now, all speculation. Michael Brevoort, hashtag Lions defense had 39 sacks last season. How many this year? What do you think they'll get in sacks?
I answered this week before last on Detroit Lions News. I was over there with my man John Macaroon, you know what I'm saying, over there from SI, SI family, All Nation.
That was my favorite.
I said 60. I said 60 for this defense this year. It's because of the fact that you're gonna get a few guys that are gonna have double digits, and you're gonna have some guys that are gonna be sniffing it. If you look at what Philly did last year with like 70, I don't think we get 70, but I think we can get 60. Okay. That's 21 more. I think we can do that.
That would be really nice, and that means that defense went up a notch for sure in the winning league in stats and everything. Hashtag F Chase Young, another physical liability. The hashtag F, yes, is always work. Yes, he is. You know, he's an injured player, and that draft really sucked, by the way. Didn't pan out so well for a lot of teams over there. Hashtag smash the hole. Is Chase Lucas going to make the 53-man roster? 53-man roster, or is he going to get cut? I'm going to say he gets CUT. I think he gets cut. Thoughts on that one? The Ant-Man who just joined us.
Hey, guys. How we doing? We both good today?
Yeah.
Excellent. Sorry, what was the question, Mike? I've only just come in.
Everybody make sure you go ahead and subscribe to Roar of the Lions UK. That is Ant-Man on there and his crew, his team. Very good content. Absolutely love it. Do you think Chase Lucas makes the 53-man roster?
No, I don't. And very reluctantly so. I just think we've got a hell of a lot of competition in the secondary this year. And I think there's going to be a sort of a lot of guys in the food chain above him, your Jerry Jacobs types. I'd even be looking at guys like Starlin Thomas, etc., getting in on there because they will serve a purpose in the long term. And it's a shame because Chase is a little bit of an older prospect and he's not really had that much of a look in. And, you know, I would hope we get him through to the practice squad. I hope we can with these guys. But for me, I don't think he does. But that's not a bad thing. I like having these depth sort of issues for corner positions after years of having none at all.
I agree. Huggy Bear, hashtag. Who has many more yards this season, Laporta or Hawkinson? Who do you think has more yards, Kurt?
Nah, I got to say Hawk.
Yep.
Hawk's going to have more yards. Yeah,
he's going to be a main focal point over there for the Vikings.
He is.
We're different offense here. He's not going to be a main because we had so many other weapons. Sup, Mike and crew. What is up going on there, Dragon Fan TM? Hashtag loving the Lions. It's been a long time since we've had to cut good players. Isn't that nice, Kurt, that we get to cut good players? Something we're not used to.
It is absolutely wonderful. If you look at the Lions' talent and depth, it's going to be so much harder to make the Lions this year. If you look at what they built and what they brought in and free agency and the guys that are kept, some of the guys that are bubble players that have been bubble players for a couple of years, been able to stick around, they're not going to be able to stick around this year.
Don't you like that there, Ant-Man, the idea that we're going to be cutting good players because this roster is good?
Yeah, I prefer this to already knowing what the 53-man roster is in like May. Like we have in the last few years. We've kind of guessed all but maybe one or two spots right on the edge, what's going on. But this year it's genuinely tough. And as I was sort of commenting earlier while I was in the chat, I think outside of the offensive line, there's genuine positional battles throughout this entire team. Like everywhere is got a lot of depth, and there are a lot of players who we are going to hate to not have here. But it's such a wonderful problem to have. Like I was listening to Kurt was saying, this competition breeds competitiveness. Competitiveness breeds higher standards. And if you make this team, you've got to put forward a hell of a case to do so. That's going to make us better as a side. So yeah, I love having these problems. Or I'm going to be upset when some of these guys go. But again, I'd rather that than be upset that we know what the roster is 3 months in advance.
We got Galactus's Harold. Silver Surfer says, Roar to Lions UK, great group of seriously prepared Lions fan. Please say hi to the Brits. Make sure you say hi to the Brit right there. We appreciate you, Harold from Galactus. Just make sure.
Jason Statham Jr. That's who that is. Jason Statham Jr. in the building, man. Look at that beard. It's fantabulous.
It is. But it's a sad beard today. We got beaten by the Aussies in the cricket, and it really hurt us. So, British pride has been hurt today.
Devin Davis, #F Karen Rodgers, win or lose, Lions are going to be the most exciting team to watch. Yeah, they are. I think they are going to be the most exciting team. And I seen something, I don't know where it was at, but it said, is the Detroit Lions the new Dallas Cowboys, America's team? What is your thoughts on that, Kurt?
Oh, sorry.
God, I hope not.
I think that we are America's team. I think a lot of people are rooting for us.
And that moniker was kind of given to them because another team turned it down. I don't want to be the obnoxious fan base that is like the Dallas Cowboys fan base is.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, I had a Dallas fan. So I'm like, you guys took your colors from us. I'm like, how in the hell is that possible when we came in the 30s and you guys weren't a team to the 60s? I mean, stop it.
Yeah. Like, not the fan base. I was talking. Absolutely not. We're not
team,
like the fan base.
The team itself.
Team love from people around the world.
I want us to have that team love, but I want it to be homegrown. I want it to be organic, and I'm not really with the bandwagon stuff, but I want us to be one of the most exciting teams to watch because we're good, and we deserve to be watched. You know what I'm saying? So.
Man.
I would say it this way: that they're like America's team, like on TV. They're the Kardashians. They're all glimmer and hype and no substance. Mm-hmm. We are America's team, like with a team. You come near us, we'll go kick your ass. There's a big difference between us and them. We are. I prefer us a lot more.
See, I think the Dallas in maybe the 90s were like America's team, where people are rooting for them. All I see now is a lot of people rooting against them now at this point. Mm-hmm. So I think like the Lions took that over to where a lot of people are rooting for the Detroit Lions that are not Lions fans. I'm hearing it all the time. And you're getting the hype from fans as well as media types. I think that's where we're becoming that team now. And I think HBO Hard Knocks really helped out last year, and beating Karen Rodgers in Green Bay and the hype of that winning there with Kerby Joseph taking it from Karen Rodgers and then DJ Chark with the win. I think that showed a lot of love, and a lot of people's like, you know what, this team has sucked for years. We need the underdogs to win. I think that's kind of like what we've taken over. It feels like that way, Kurt.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You look at the team, and they finally getting some notoriety, and hopefully we can stay in the winning ways and winning habits and develop, a winning culture, even more so than we had last year. Because 9-8 was good, but we didn't make the playoffs. I need us to keep growing and continue to produce on the field, and hopefully we will get that even and even more in the fold where we get people following us and rooting for us because of the fact they want us to win. It's kind of like the Browns a few years ago when they made their playoff run. They won their first playoff game in eons. So with Baker Mayfield. So I want us to have that type of feel. We can keep winning and keep building on that, and hopefully not regress.
Edmund Washington, okay, training camp is coming. What are our way too early areas of concern? 1, Goff injury. 2, linebacking core still sucks. 3, take time out for new defense and running backs to get going. I'm not worried about Goff being injured. I think injury is something that you got to just consistently think about for all players. But he is an Iron Man. He takes a beating. He will still play. Linebacking core, I don't believe it sucks. So I'm not worried about that. I think the defense is actually ahead of schedule right now, so I'm not worried about that. They're looking pretty good, and I do think the running backs are going to get going. My concern here is I really don't have concern. I'm not going to lie. Now, if an injury happens to any player, that's all 32 teams. Mm-hmm. What about you, Ant-Man? Is there any major concern heading into training camp?
Yeah, the biggest concern I have in regards to this team is, are they mentally strong enough to win games that matter? Because that is what this year is about. I mean, I know the end of last year was good, but at 1-6, you're in a situation where there's very little pressure on you because very little is expected of you. You're not expected to get to the playoffs. And then when they did come up against their first bump in the road, which was the Panthers, when we were serious about this, they got annihilated. Now, from week 1 this year, we're going to be expecting of them. We're going to expect them to win games. I know it's the Chiefs, but let's say week 2, Seahawks at home, you're going to expect them to win that game. And that is a game that matters critically for our season. I'm worried. If I have a concern is, are they good enough to go out and win that with the pressure on them? Because we've not seen that in the 2 years so far. That's my concern for this team. I've no concern about the talent. I've no concern about how the roster's built up, the players we've got. It's, are they mentally prepared for that next level?
John Holbert, hashtag JewelUbert63. Are the Lions going to address the defensive tackle position? Kurt?
I don't think so right now. I think they're going to rely on the veterans that they have and to try to bring in the young fellow that they have, Broderick Martin, who's a mountain of a man. I think that they are going to go in with what they got. If you look at the uptick in play at the end of last season with a guy like Isaiah Buggs, and you add in Broderick Martin, and you got those interior guys that can rotate in, that play in and tackle, like a John Kaminsky and a Josh Pascal. I don't think they're going to, and with the newfound resilience of a guy like Aleem McNeil, who's totally revamped himself and revamping his game, I don't think they need to.
Salem Batman Rising, hashtag good weed. The Lions, like I'm going to do, are smoking.
Hey, it's legal where you at. Go ahead and light it up, baby.
Dude, you got to do. Devin Davis, hashtag FGB. In the future, do y'all see females being coaches or players in the NFL? Well, females are coaches right now. Players in the NFL, the only way I see it is a kicker. Beyond that, I don't see it, just because it's too physical of a sport. I just don't see it.
It's a collision sport. I mean, you look at football and it's, I just not a player. Coaches, because you have them on the sidelines.
Yep, got them.
A lot of teams, and they're out there actually being refs, ups and everything, like side judges. So they're already in the league. So yeah.
Would you ever see a guy play in the Legends League?
No.
Oh God, no.
Oh my God.
Hell no.
Please stop that right now.
Huggy Bear, do you guys think the Lions did enough defensively to contain mobile quarterbacks who they had problems with? That's a great question, Ant-Man. What do you think? Do you think they did enough to contain those mobile quarterbacks?
I think so, yes, because, what are the two big problems we've had with mobile quarterbacks? One, it's kind of setting the edge against them, running on us. I do think with the edge room we have now, we've got depth in there. I think that we're training guys right at the outside linebacker position, guys who we can use to counteract this. We saw Houston last year hunted down Justin Fields in the second game. We were a lot better against him second time out. So in that regard, yes. And the other one is, if we can't get to the quarterback, we're giving them enough time to throw down the field against the secondary. And our secondary has been gashed for years. It's not anymore. All of a sudden, it is filled with talented veterans and highly talented young players. So it's going to be harder, even if mobile QBs get time to look down the field and throw on us. They ain't going to have nowhere to go. So I think the two primary areas of concern we have addressed, and I would expect to see us be much better this year. So I think we have done enough, providing that, the players are as good as we hope they will be.
Joe Carborn, #FGB. Who is your MVP, most valuable person of this coming year for the Detroit Lions between coaches and players, Kurt?
Ooh, between coaches and players. Coach has to be it's gonna have to be Aaron Glenn. He's gonna have to show that he's got enough on the defense to make it, because Ben Johnson, we know what he can do. We know what Dan Campbell can do, but can Aaron Glenn get this defense to where we need it to be to become a winning franchise? On a player side, it's gonna have to be Jared Goff. He's gonna have to prove
there's no doubt.
It's got to be Jared.
Has to be. But the quarterback position is the most important position in sports. So he look, if other players go down, like, you can handle it. If Jared Goff goes down, we're going to be in some trouble right now. Even though I love Hendon Hooker, it's still a rookie. Salem Bad Moon says #Glad Ceiling. I think a female coach could be within the next decade. That'd be interesting. How important? Go ahead.
I was going to say, so we had this same issue with soccer over here. I remember about 20 years ago, the first issue of would there ever be a female manager of one of our teams over here? And it's just never happened. Despite the years, it's gone and gone and gone. There's just never been a resolution found to it. I would see that probably been similar there. It's just never come to pass, despite getting talked about all the time.
How important is the wide receiver room, even if we lose one? Ooh, what do you think about that one, Kurt?
It wasn't last year. So I think as long as within the scheme, I mean, you look at that middle of the season last year, man, we were playing with guys we were picking up at Home Depot. I mean, we was just going to grab guys, man. We were playing with practice squad guys. I mean, we were playing with a lot of, backups last year in that receiver room for that middle part of the season. And we won games with them. So yeah, I'm good. If we lose one, you can just bring another guy up.
Yeah, I think depth's good. I think Ben Johnson knows what he's doing. And you also got Jahmyr Gibbs, who's going to be basically a wide receiver as well. So I think they're pretty good at there. Tom Kennedy, he's always going to be able to bring him up. He's always been on this team forever in the practice squad. #Lines after season, how much to resign CJ Gardner-Johnson at a safety price? Do they re-sign CJ Gardner-Johnson?
If you're willing to pay Jesse Bates money, then yes. Well, that's going to be the minimum threshold, because he ain't a safety. He is a versatile defensive back who can play a wide variety of critical positions for you. And if he has a second great season in a row, his value is going to
skyrocket.
Skyrocket.
You will pay Jesse Bates money. So if you're comfortable paying that, then just maybe.
With Sergeant Gardner-Johnson, I don't know if the Lions re-sign him. You drafted a guy, that's him. Yeah. You drafted a guy that's a Gardner-Johnson type. So I don't know. I think it may be a one. Now he's ingratiated himself into the Detroit culture. He look at him with his gaming platform, giving out jerseys, wearing Amon-Ra St. Brown t-shirts. I mean, the guys, and he's making himself part of the Detroit community. So he's going to make it harder for the Lions to not re-sign him than it is to let him walk.
That's going to be an intriguing one, because again, you got Kerby Joseph, you got Bryant Branch. What's going on with Tracy Walker? That would be the question here, is with Tracy Walker. What's going on with him? Because I think Kerby and Bryant Branch definitely are the future. And so then you'd have to look at, but I kind of think that they may not, just because you drafted your guy, and Bryant Branch, that's what he is.
He is a Gardner-Johnson type. So.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like a you scratch my back, I scratch your situation with CJ, where we're like, right, we'll pay you some decent money this year. You can come and ball out on a team which is going places and put yourself right to the top of the market. And in the meanwhile, you can also train this guy so that you can go and get your bag, and we long-term are sorted at this position. And I don't think that's something that CJ would be opposed to, because, I mean, a lot of us were surprised when he came here. So maybe he's helping us and we're helping him. And as long as he plays well for us, that in an ideal world is what would happen. Branch will be him next year. Gardner Johnson will go and get a big fat contract somewhere and get us some nice comp picks in return.
Defensive tackle, don't sleep on Christian Covington. Yeah, well, I think if he can come in and be Isaiah Buggs or, be a player of that nature, I think that'd be a great, rotational defensive tackle that can help out. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Can he be that Isaiah Buggs, who I think is a good rotational player? We don't need to have a guy that needs to blow up on every single play, but you need to have rotation and be consistent on there. So that's what I'm hoping there. Devin Davis, hashtag FGB. Other than the Chiefs, which team will give the Lions the hardest to beat? I'll go with Seattle Seahawks. That's going to be a tough one. What do you got?
I'm going to go Dallas.
Ravens.
Dallas
Ravens.
Dallas and Dallas.
Dallas in Dallas. I can't, and it's always a competitive game when we go against the Dallas Cowboys. I can't stand them. I hope we beat the crap out of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, definitely.
Hashtag Mike Curtin Ant. What would you consider a failure season? Not winning the NFC North and not making the playoffs. That would be a failed season for me. What about you, man?
100% agree with you, Mike. This is our year, and the division is never going to be this weak. And the teams behind us, they're not going to be bad forever. If you can't win it this year, you're never going to win it.
Yep.
This is the year where all the words have to stop and the actions start. If they can't do it now, then that is a failure. And I'm not going to be sorry for that.
What about you, Kurt?
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Winning the North, making the playoff, winning a playoff game. However, I don't agree with the comment on the screen, though, because of the fact that I think the Lions kind of jumped ahead of schedule. We signed Campbell for a 6-year deal. I don't think if something, lo and behold, happens and the world crushes and everything crumbles and we have too many injuries and something happens where we're, maybe 8-9 instead of 9-8, I don't think you fire Dan Campbell.
I think there'd be two reasons why this would happen. First off, if Jared Goff went down early, and that would pretty much screw the season over, or if the defense is absolutely booty cheeks again. And if that happens, I think Aaron Glenn's gone. I don't think Dan Campbell's getting fired at all.
No.
He's going to be here for a while. He is beloved by everybody, and I think he's a damn good coach. He lets his coaches coach. So those would be the two scenarios I see if the Lions were to suck. Hashtag, you guys remember the beginning of last? I think the wide receiver room staying healthy is very important considering how long it takes Goff to acclimate himself to the wide receivers. I think the only wide receiver I'm worried about acclimation is Jamison Williams. He's already done it with Marvin Jones. Josh Reynolds is already there. Monroe St. Brown, Khalif Raymond. I think his acclimation is just Jamison Williams.
Yeah, and maybe if the young fella has to play Green, if he has to play, but yeah, I mean, look at the guys he played with last year. I mean, like I said, during that stretch in the middle of the season where Reynolds was down, and so was DJ Chark, and it was like he had to play with Khalif Raymond, he had to play with Tom Kennedy, he played with a whole bunch of guys down on the list, saying that were just coming in off the street, or Maurice Alexander and all those guys, man. Yeah.
See, I prefer us having a young wide receiver core this year because I think Randall L works better when he has young guys who he can mold into his vision of a player. You've seen what he's done with Amon Ra. I know Raymond and that are a bit younger, but they've been in pros a few years, but they're still quite young. Whereas when the big receivers were adding, when Golladay was Thursday, when Chark was here, you don't feel like he's done that with them. So I like that he's got a young room which he can mold. I think we will be better because of it. So I think Green will get a lot of use early because he's a deep threat, and we don't have one until JMO comes back. But I like the wide receiver room this year, low-key. I don't think we need a flashy guy. The young guys, Randall L will do good. Randall L will train them and develop them well and make them good receivers.
Yeah, I know that PFF, we talked about it earlier, gave the Lions the 10th worst wide receiver room. I don't see it. I look at the wide receivers. I think everyone fits the role that they need to be. we don't need to have a DK Metcalf on this football team or a guy that's the clear-cut number one that goes to, because Jared Goff does spread the ball around to everybody. He's not a one-person quarterback. He spreads the ball around every single week when you watch it, and everyone's got their role. Amon-Ra St. Brown can go long, and he hits the open areas in the middle of the defense. You got Khalif Raymond, who's really fast. He can be a deep threat, but again, he always gets open. You got Laporta getting open. He just finds that role. You got Josh Reynolds that can be an X. Same with Marvin Jones Jr. So I'm fine with the wide receivers that we have there, and obviously the running backs as well. So I'm with you. I'm not worried about it. I'm really not. If I understand what people think, we don't got the biggest names in the world, but you don't need to have the biggest names. Doesn't really mean anything as long as you're still winning and getting first downs. Devin Davis, #Lions Pride. Is the Lions on Hard Knocks again? No, we're not going to be on Hard Knocks again. They tried to have us come back, in which I think is great, but it'll probably be the New York Jets. You're probably going to see Karen Rodgers over there and the New York Packers, because apparently they want to get all Green Bay Packers over there. That's what I see. Trevor Lawrence had 4,100 yards, 25 touchdowns, and interceptions. Do you guys think Goff has another season playing better than him? I don't know about that. I don't really care about who he's going to be better than. I think Jared Goff can get around 4,400 passing yards, 31 touchdowns, maybe 11 interceptions. That's kind of what I got there. What do you guys have for Jared Goff, Ant-Man, and then Kurt?
I mean, I don't think he's going to put up the stats he did last year, but not because he's going to regress, but because I think the running back room is going to take a lot more of the weight this year. Because remember, Goff had to take a lot of games on his shoulders last year. I mean, you're not talking about the games where the run game didn't show up, but even games like the Bills and the Jags when we won. A lot of that was Goff. This year, the running back room is superior, and I think it will do a lot more of the heavy lifting, so we won't need to rely on him as much. But he'll still have a decent year. But I don't think it'll be as big as last year.
Kurt?
I'm thinking maybe around the same. Depends. To me, it doesn't depend on the running game. It depends on the defense. If we don't have to get in the shootouts, I think that's going to be, for me, I think it's going to be what it's going to be. I'm telling you what his stats is going to be. If he's going to have to air it out because we're playing where we can't stop anyone, that's going to be a bigger tell for me.
I don't want Jared Goff to have a greater season than really anybody else. That means that the defense is probably playing bad and there's something going wrong on offense. I just want him to manage the game at this point. And a lot, game manager people, that's terrible. That's a bad. No, not for this offense and this team. That's what we need. Just a guy to spread the ball around, get first downs, and let your players play. So I could care less of who he's better than or he's worse than. As long as the Lions winning games and they win the NFC North, I am happy. And if Jared Goff's not doing it, that means the defense is probably doing its work. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Just ask San Francisco 49ers and other teams that have that type of situation there. They were pretty good, San Francisco, last year. So if Lions can replicate that, I'm pretty happy. We've been on for nearly an hour. The heavyweights are about to get on. Kurt, show some love about your work that you do, where they can find you.
Yeah, definitely. I am a contributor for a Sideline Report and yardbarker.com. I cover the Lions for both of those publications. You can definitely check me out at kurtsteele.com. That's where you can find my YouTube channel. You can find all my links to all my work, and you can find my Kurt Steele gear, man. You got to boss up and ball out, man. So go check out kurtsteele.com, man. And that's where you can see everything I do right there on that website.
We got Anthony Roar of the Lions UK. Tell the folks where they can find your great content.
As Mike says, you can find us at Roar of the Lions UK. We are a group of Detroit Lions fans from over in Britain. If you want to come and check us out, we got a different view on American football, all these things, then do so. But yeah, find us at Roar of the Lions UK. We're on Mondays, we're on Wednesdays, and you'll find me on with these wonderful guys as well during the week on Lions Nation Unite feeds as well.
Make sure you subscribe to everybody, watch his or read his articles, and come on to my channel as well. With that said, folks, adios.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me, and what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower, scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder, and f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm f***ed off at these f***ing clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop.